question. Long time we don't have one. Does anybody has something you want to hear from each other?
I mean, I heard one over the weekend I can share.
Okay, let's go.
Which TEC colleague would you eat?
Which colleague would you eat?
And why?
Eat like a...
Like for survival?
You get to answer that how you want.
Okay, there's no more context. It's just like, are you like in an island and you're about to die, or it's a broad question?
Just really open. It's like a choose your own adventure. Answer it how you want.
I'm vegetarian.
I'm excited. Not me.
Let me think. I think I would eat Juan because he would feel like it would be so like peaceful.
Oh my god. Oh dear.
He would digest very well. Juan, Tam brought the intro question today, and it is, which TEC member would you eat?
Okay.
And you've been sacrificed first.
Well, I love this manga that is called Shingeki no Kyojin, which if you eat like someone who can become a giant, then you can become a giant, and you like acquire their powers. So then I will eat Grief, because I will have like a lot of energy all the time and a lot of like mind and very high point of view overall over things. So yeah, and I will pass to Tam.
I was also thinking of eating Griff, actually. Yes, that was the one I was going to choose too. I just feel like it would just be this amazing rush of energy. So it's similar reasoning, and I'll pass to Nate.
Oh wow, yeah. I was I was thinking of Griff too, just because I met him in person, and he's a very big person, a lot bigger than I thought he was, and so it would sustain me for a very long time. But if it was for the powers, I would probably eat Tam. I wish I had your organizational skills and, and your priority skills. So, yeah, it'd be between you two, to be honest with you. I'll pass it to Zepti.
Oh yeah, I also was thinking on Griff too. Like, he's very big, so for survival reasons, like, you got to eat the most. And for the powers, I think I would eat Juan or Livy. I think, yeah, like these peacefuls they bring, this is awesome. And I'll pass it to Katie.
Well, I'm gonna have to take the Buddhist approach here and abstain as a vegetarian. I will abstain. Although on this note, I highly recommend everyone take a look at Jan Svankmeyer's 1992 short film called Food. And there's a brilliant depiction kind of what we're talking about here in a stop motion format. Okay, so I'm abstaining. I'm pleading a vegetarian Buddhist perspective, and I'll pass to Anna Marie.
You're muted, Anna Marie.
Sorry, I was saying, yeah, this is a really serious decision because I really like food, so I don't take this lightly. Like, if anyone tastes like chocolate, then I'll just eat them, and I'm not sure who does. But just going from what we've got here, and I really, whatever Nate's profile picture is, I feel like he's kind of cute, but if I had to push it, I'd eat whatever that is. So I feel like that could get like fried or something. A barbecue, it would be great. So yeah, it's gonna have to be Nate's like alter ego that I get to eat. And I will pass that to Matteo.
Yeah, I don't know. I would have to join the buffet between Griff and Juanca just because of the energy and the peaceful meat. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll pass it to Chewy.
Oh my god.
Thanks, Mateo. Yeah, also like Juanca, I kind of like visualized like a Kirby. I don't know, like if someone here likes video games and Super Smash, that's like Kirby's superpower. Like absorbs and then like spits out, but or like can like get powers from other from other characters. And I feel that I would probably take Septi's powers. Just to be like able to like smile and be happy like most of the time. I feel that is that's always the best like uh, learning like position, like to most like absorb what other people have to give. So in order to have a little bit of everyone, I would take Septi's powers. I pass it to Edu.
Hello, everyone. I'm a little bit late, so I don't know what's the game today. Can you explain me, Livy?
Cannibalism.
Which participant from the TEC would you eat?
Oh, this is cannibalism. I will go for That's a hard one. I will pick either Tam to get her efficiency, and yeah, her efficiency. Otherwise, I will go for Sam. I actually will go for Sam because I really love. Sorry, YGG, not Sam. YGG. I would love to have his output and his input and his everything about data. I feel that's something I will eat all day, if that makes any sense. I don't know who is back, who is not, so I will pass it back to you.
All right. Everyone has gone. Thanks, Tam. That makes me think of how was your weekend. Makes me feel like it was fun. Okay, so today we're gonna have a little collective session for a proposal making, because I think except me, nobody in this room made a proposal, and it's of course not like if no one wants to make a proposal, you don't have to. It's just that we have start to have like the understanding of, if I was going to make a proposal, what would I be thinking, and I think that helps to have an informed vote as well. So I'll share my screen. And I just put the template here in our agenda, and we can. I think I'll pass around to ask everyone if you would make a proposal or not for each one of these categories. Hi, Griff.
Hey, sorry. Last call went long.
Oh, no problem. No, I just wanted to tell you you won an award in this call.
Wow, thanks.
Yeah.
What did I win?
You were the most eaten person in the TEC, according to this group.
Eaten?
Most likely to be eaten first.
Oh no, because I'm the slowest runner?
No, it's for good qualities.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that was the opposite. People just thought you were too energized and too big, and that would be a good meal. give them
Oh.
superpowers.
Mm.
Okay, so we're just gonna go around and have yes or no if you would make a proposal for each one of these categories or not. And then if you said yes, then we're just gonna craft something together and discuss a little bit about it. And then we're gonna look at the proposals that are in token log now. So we have 4 proposals. I heard there are 2 more coming. I think this gives a good number already for today for us to have, a place to make informed decisions, and that there are a few options there that cover most of what people are thinking. So, okay. So I said that I would not intervene in number 1, and we can go like one by one and tell all of them, and then we come back. So for me, Livia, it was a no here. To the category. So does this proposal address that some categories may be under rewarded and others over rewarded? So for me, it was a no. And then 2, does it address that paid contributors have a 50 to 85% reduction? So for me, this was a yes. And then here, if it addresses token engineering community lacking recognition, then here was also a yes. And then for the UBI and Gini coefficient, here was a no. And I'll pass to Eduardo.
Yes, thank you, Livy. No, in my case, no, because I will go for Sam's proposal. My proposal will be the same as his. So in my case, it's a no. And I will pass it on to Tam. Okay, Tam.
Tam, are you there?
Oh, I didn't know that you were calling on me. Thanks. So I am in the middle of writing a proposal, and I find it not as easy as everyone else seems to find it. But I found that the same way with the MVV and the parameters. So for the first one, does the proposal address categories that may be under-rewarded and others over-rewarded? I think that the results show that we definitely want to consider how we are rewarding different participations in the TEC, especially the ones that might be better served by something like, source credit. So the calls and the retweets, we may want to consider a different, in fact, I think we should consider a different way of measuring and valuing those now. But there's no way that I could see that would make sense to go back and change anything based on these categories that we have. So there was just no way to, it would take a Herculean effort to try to rebalance all of that now. So I would say simply that one is no. For the proposal for paid contributors, I definitely have a strong opinion about that. Do you mind muting? Do you mind muting? Oh, cool, thanks. I definitely have a strong opinion about that, but I think we should just get rid of it going forward. So for the impact hours that were deleted, I would say those who had 50% deleted should receive 25% of half of what was deleted. So they would end up with 75%. And those who had 85% deleted should end up at 50%, so 35. Restored, basically. And, the reasoning is that the net was just cast too far. It sort of captured people who didn't have a lot to do with the TEC, but were sort of affiliated with the TEC. So we're also under this reduction of hours that was discussed in December. November, December. And I think 85% was right in the beginning of an initialization of the DAO, but should have probably been decremented or decreased over time. And that never happened.
Sorry, Kim, what is the new number you said? 85 should go to?
Yeah, I mean, I really liked your proposal, but I just thought it was so picky and choosy that it was too hard to agree to everything. And then, so I think it should just sort of be across the board that everyone who had 50% of their hours deleted should, instead of being at 50%, should end up at 75%. So they should have 25% deleted. And everyone who had 85% deleted should have theirs restored up until 50%. So they should have 35% of their deleted hours restored. Or, yeah, they should only have 50% deleted instead of 85%.
I just want to jump in and say, like, it might be easier just to say, like, because some people had 75% deleted, and sometimes there was 25%. It's dirty. It's ugly. It's not clean. So maybe just like a mass, like if you had a negative number, then you get this percent back. For ease of use, applying it might be a stronger strategy.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. That's a good tip. I'll try to incorporate that. I'll be like, if we can do this, then that. If not, then just I don't know what the number would be. It would be maybe something like 40%. Cool. Thanks for that. And then I really liked this concept of infinite vesting governance tokens, but I feel like, have we thought it all the way through? Like, are there going to be things that happen in the future now that we have this infinite? So my proposal is actually going to be just to do this one action, like just do this like there's some number of impact hours that were deleted, restore some percentage of that, but don't do the infinite vesting. Even though it's very compelling, I feel like there's going to be, it's like there's complications it might bring in the future that I don't know that we've actually really, stress tested yet. So I think it's a cleaner option not to do that, even though I think it's a really elegant solution. I think it would just be cleaner just to not even touch it. I think it can, maybe there's problems in the future. We talked about having to have a negative bonding curve to compensate for these non-monetary tokens. And it just seems like once we start going down that road, it's like, I feel like there's going to be things that we're going to discover only too late after we have implemented that solution. So, and then, for the proposal around the foundational members of token engineering, I mean, I want this so bad to be something we consider as a community, and I don't have a great solution. So I think what Griff mentioned is pretty fair, and this trying to work within the bounds of what we have, and doing some like mass praises specifically for people that we think are underrepresented, and making sure in the next quant we can give them some more, we can see them, we can make them more visible, make their invisible work more visible, and their contributions that are many cases just hidden from most contributors in the TEC, make it more visible for them. And then the last one, I don't think this needs to be addressed, so I chose no. I don't think we want necessarily our community to respect the Gini coefficient. So personally, I didn't feel that was logical for us to consider. Yeah. And I will be proposing this, and I hope it's tonight. And shall I pass? Okay, I'll pass to Anne-Marie.
Thank you. I mean, firstly, this is really fascinating. Thank you so much for talking through. I feel like I really don't have the context of what a lot of this is to be able to really answer. So if it's all right, I'm going to just pass and just listen and observe. That's cool. In which case, I will pass to Suga.
Thanks, Emily. Right. So I have not written a proposal, but I have spent a lot of brain power on these topics. My quick and dirty version is yes to everything. If I were to write a proposal, I do think all of these need to be included, definitely. It sounds like I'm a little bit confused between number 1 and number 3. They seem similar. Can you enlighten me a little bit on that, Livia?
Yeah, so the number 1 was a product of the categorization that happened to each praise. So it was kind of like labeling the data to not what people got rewarded, but what types of work got rewarded. So number 3 talks about token engineers in specific, and number 1 about like, oh, this went to Twitter, to meetings, or to gravity work, or to personal praise.
Yeah, great. Okay, right. I knew that. Thank you. I actually, I took a little brain vacation from this the last couple of days, so now I'm back in action. So I'm yes to everything. And even number 4, although it was me who raised the question about the legitimacy of the Gini coefficient in relation to the TEC. And to be honest, it may be worth me writing a proposal just to explain why the Gini coefficient is not appropriate for consideration as a metric, as a coefficient. And I did talk to Octopus at length about the different coefficients that he did apply, and that was fantastic and enlightening. So, I can share that. I mean, I'm not a mathematician or an economist, but number 4, I do have some thoughts on that. And could you scroll up for a second, because I'm not looking at the document and I can only see what you're showing. Number 3, what was it I wanted to add to that? Oh, similarly, number 2. I'm struggling, and I would love to have input from the mathy people out there, because I do feel like there must be, how Tam phrased it, the idea of a stress test. Like, it feels like there exists some kind of an equation that I can't find as a non-mathematician, that I don't know, that would be super beneficial here to figure out really what is appropriate. But anyway, my short answer, which is no longer short, is yes to all of those categories. And I'll move on, pass that on to Griff.
Sure. So I'll share my screen because I made a proposal and it's up there, and you should all vote for it because it's the best one. No, just messing around. It's a fine proposal though, and I hope that at least the ideas get to be used and forked. That's why I made an effort to get it up first. And so these were my answers. I actually don't. I think meetings were really important. Yes, some people went to meetings and didn't like pick up work or whatever. But other people went to meetings and and that was where they went to go get work, and spent an hour in the call. And if these are impact hours, a meeting being worth 1 point something hours isn't that outrageous? They spent an hour, and also I think retweeting is really valuable too. So, but either way, I thought the categories distribution was actually pretty fine. I do think that the challenge, paid contributors getting an 85% reduction in governance power is a real issue. But I'll show some math on why the financial side actually was fine. So I do want to address the governance side of it, though. And for the foundational members, it would be nice to get more TEC praise parties. Honestly, I've been proposing this for the last several months. And we used to do them sometimes, but like it wasn't ever really picked up. So, and then the Gini coefficient, I just don't think applies. Like, it's for distributing wealth based on like seeing how good an economy is, not like how well if people do more work, they should get more in this small system of rewards. And especially since this system was literally designed explicitly to reward volunteers, was its intention. So the first thing is the governance give back. So like the thing is, I think it's fine to reduce people because people who are rewarded with money are rewarded, and the people who aren't rewarded with like die, then like, you know, they get TEC tokens in the future, maybe, who knows how much. If we don't raise 800K, they get nothing, right? So like, I think it's important to account for that. But the problem is that all these awesome people who've been putting their heart and soul into this thing, and it would have really good ideas about what is a good thing for the DAO or a bad thing for the DAO. We can't let them get less governance. Like that's just shooting ourselves in the foot. They're the best informed. They put so many hours and have such deep context that we need to give them voting rights. And then TE praise party. Let's give some praise party. So here's the thing: if you look at the math, like 85%, if someone's working full time, they get 1,400 DAI every 2 weeks. And if they're working full time, when I was looking at the like averages, you know, like some people get like 80 impact hours per week, and some people will get like 20. Most people are getting like 20 to 40. And so it kind of averaged out to be about 40 impact hours for people who are working, and especially in the earlier weeks, earlier rounds, there were less impact hours being given. So it ended up being about 40 impact hours for the full-time people that were getting 85% reductions. And that's 41 DAI per impact hour. So every impact hour is being paid out, like that's being lost, is worth about 41 DAI. So people are trading 41 DAI for one impact hour by taking their pay. Sorry, they're trading one impact hour for 41 DAI. And so if you go and look at the parameters, that means that if we raise 101.25 million, then the people that took pay would be better off. They will make more money than the people who just chose to take impact hours. And if we raise 1.5 million, then the people who took impact hours would be better off. I think that's fair. I don't think it's worth adjusting, basically. It's maybe I would like that to be around the $2 million mark if I got to just pick, you know. But being at 1.3 million is close enough. So I think that's a pretty fair from a financial perspective. But we have money and governance rights. So we need to make sure that as a DAO, the right people are making decisions, and the right people are the ones that have the best context. So you know, maybe the direct way of finding. I was talking with Sam, and he's talking about what if we just make another non-transferable token and instead of using TEC tokens, we could have a second token that's governance rights in the DAO. That's just a non-transferable token, and that might be cleaner. So I'm not 100% sure of the right way to implement it, but I would like to give 75% governance rights back. But because not 100%, because the deal was that they were supposed to get deducted, right? So that when people were making the decision, they knew they would get less governance rights. So they should still get less. And then the praise party, most of the biggest praises that were ever given were given to token engineers that got lots of impact hours. Simon de la Rouve tops the list for inventing bonding curves. He got 48 impact hours for that. Dan Lessa got 28 impact hours for all the incredible work he has done to onboard the future generation of token engineers. Benjamin Schultz, for his tireless work building the new economic paradigm, got 17 impact hours. Tyler, for all of his amazing CAD work, got 8. You 19 to Angela for leading so many activities in the TE space. Zargum got 20 and 1 basically for catalyzing work to do NFT primitives. It works. It works. We can do this. Yeah, we just need to actually say who the token engineer is and why they deserve the impact hours, which should be a requirement for any proposal to reward token engineers. We need to justify it. So let's just dish them praise, Yeah, and I think that's the easiest way to do it. The only caveat is, we have to actually go get them into our Discord. Like, if they're not in our Discord, they don't deserve it. They shouldn't be getting free tokens. I'm sorry. Like, they can't participate in governance if they're not in our Discord. If they don't want to participate, let's not give them tokens. It's okay. I know they're busy. Sorry. So those are my feelings on it. And vote for number 2. And actually, number 1's cool too. And I'll pass it to Wonka.
Yeah, there is this book that is called The Alchemist, and this guy goes around the whole world looking for a treasure, and then he finds out the treasure was where he started. So yeah, I think that it's good that we have had a lot of discussion around this topic. And that is good that we have heard a lot of voices around this topic. But I think that I also agree that the praise system is very adaptive, and that doing some adjustments through praising people who we feel that is not enough recognized is good. So I like Griff's proposal, and I also like about the governance rights, because one of the things that we were concerned for the impact hour distribution was mostly that that there was a lot of governance in the first percentage of the list. But if we give out these governance rights to the people who were paid, I think that distribution is going to be a little bit better. So yeah, I like Griff's proposal, and but I am also curious about what would be the impact around using the dashboard that YGG designed. Mostly what would be the economic effect around the impact hours of creating a small UBI. It's just of curiosity, but I think that to solve the problems that we initially identified of people who were not enough recognized, we can use the praise system. But yeah, so I like both those proposals, but I am also curious to see what other proposal can come in these next days. I will pass to Jess.
Hi everybody. Sorry I'm late. How's everybody going? Just jumped from another call, so yeah, I apologize. I will watch the video and would like to hear the chat that's happened so far. But I suppose, is there a format I should be aware of before jumping into sharing the proposal that I've submitted and another one incoming?
You can go ahead and present as your proposal if you want. We were going through this list for the people who didn't propose.
Okay. Okay, well, if this is a good time, then I will share. So I submitted a proposal and tried my best to get it in as fast as possible. and it's called Sharing is Caring, Forking number 3. So I believe that this solves for all of the problem sets that we are looking at, and it's a fork of Livia's proposal, which I agreed with Livia that the meetings and tweets and some of the bucketing wasn't ideal, but I also understand like the overhead it would take to try to adjust that. So being that it's a bit late now, I also agree with Livia in going forward that this should be reweighted, or we should look a little deeper at the bucketing and how we want to be rewarding in the future. For number 2, I love, Livia, what you did with the bucketing, because I feel very strongly that people who were paid by organizations, Common Stack, Giveth, etc., that were not working on TEC work, it's not really fair to take away their impact hours just because they're close to the TEC. So that would be like, basically anyone getting paid from any organization. It's basically like we would say Trent gets 85% reduction because he pays himself via Ocean Protocol. So I think we should restore based on Livia's bucketing system. I thought that was a great proposal. And then number 3, the praise party. I obviously I have my own opinions about whether or not I think this is effective as far as like a way to like move some people around, or basically is what it's doing. But obviously I think great, go for it. I have noticed a bit of a difference in the last weeks and an improvement, that some of that has been remedied through that process. But I would say it still doesn't solve what I see as the core issue, is this kind of skewed distribution. So I'm kind of saying, let's look at the top active contributors, let's say top 30. Does anyone in the top 30, is it fair or is it right that their work is valued times 4 or times 5 or times 6? Like, should the number 1 person have 6 times what the number 30 person has? I don't think so. I think that the top 30 contributors that are being identified in the praise system probably have done pretty equal work. Definitely the stewards who are in a lot of the top spots. I wouldn't say that one steward has worked or their work is 6 times or 4 or 5 times more valuable than anyone else. And I think for me, that is kind of what is the core issue, that for lack of better adjustment, I am suggesting and proposing in this proposal a UBI. So I propose a UBI to support more equitable distribution in the overall system. I don't believe anyone's work should be valued 2, 3, 4, or 5 times as much for the top active contributors. So I'm suggesting adding 7 impact hours to everyone on the list as a starting point. And this brings the Gini coefficient from 0.42 to 0.39 for the top 20% of the list. If people don't agree with that, I'm open to like a fork of this. If you think that only the top active contributors, the top 40 contributors, or 10%, however you want to slice and dice it, get that, then I'm open to that. But I do think we should apply a UBI. I'm suggesting 7. Who doesn't like the number 7? And I think also by giving these impact hours to everyone, this could incentivize people who have, say, fractions of impact hours at the bottom to participate. So we have said this kind of like 3 impact hours or higher tier that the Hatcher Outreach is reaching out to. I think this would incentivize that group to participate if they have a little bit more of a stake in the system. And also it will fix the Gini coefficient. And I know some people say Gini isn't applicable, but I haven't really heard any other suggestions for measuring equity and distribution. So I don't think we should set the bar with like oligarchical crypto projects and say, well, we're better than them. I think we should set the bar higher and use the standard of Gini, which is used by the UN. And I think we should have a high bar when it comes to equitable distribution in our systems. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. And I just end by saying that sharing is caring. And I think, saying people are taking away my impact hours, actually by people in the top 1% or at the top of the list, by them having more, it actually takes away from people who did equal work that are in the top, say, 30, like the people who have been contributing. Like, I don't think anyone is worth or should be valued 2, 3, 4, 5, 6x. And I think we should care more about the collective and equitable distribution than our own personal gain if we're in alignment with the mission of the community and the commons. So that's my proposal. Jeff has one incoming. He's not able to come to this meeting, but he will be submitting a proposal suggesting a tiered system So you can look out for that, and perhaps he will have some time to like even record a little thing talking about it since he's not able to make it. So I'm open to discussion. Would love to hear your feedback in the case that somebody wants to fork this. So yeah, open to feedback, but I strongly suggest Livia's plus a UBI. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, Jess. So maybe I'll share my proposal because I didn't yet, and then we can have time to listen to Sam and him presenting his proposal. And I also know that Nate has a proposal that he's working on, so maybe you would like to speak too. I'll try to be quick, and then we can have time for everyone else. Share my screen. So yeah, my thought of number one of the categories, I think it was really hard to get a real sense of what was happening from those categories because a lot went to personal praise. And that made me think how, first of all, I think all of these conversations and the analysis made me see how we need a more reward systems. Like praise is incredible for what it does, and then we are trying to stretch the scope of praise so much, and there are some things that just need other systems, and we are implementing source cred, and we started to research other ones as well, and there are not so many out there. And anyways, I'm writing something about that too that I'll share soon. But yeah, from the categories, I agree with Griff that meetings were a really important part of our cultural build, and I think they should be rewarded. But maybe they were heavily rewarded to have like 1.14, 15 impact hours, because I think there is something more passive about attending meetings sometimes. And not that this is a bad thing. I think it does make people get acquainted with everything that's happening and more in the know. And this is always positive. But then looking at how other things were balanced out, maybe they should be a little lower. I would suggest maybe, I don't know, like 0.6 for meetings or something like that. And Twitter, I also think Twitter is important, but not like one tweet is equivalent of one impactful hour of work. But yeah, I'm not proposing any solution for that because I don't think there is any. I would be curious to hear if someone can think of something. And I think those were decisions that I take shared responsibility off. And yeah, so no proposal for that. And then number two, I was just looking into the list of the people that receive payment, and they are from Common Stack, Giveth, General Magic, and Common Swarm. So I thought that people who I try to separate between like, are the workloads of the people who get paid affected by the TEC or not, and how much it is affected. So from 1 to 5, there is different different tiers for how the work of people get affected by it. And I tried to get a sense by talking to a lot of the people in this list, but not to everyone. So I'm really open for feedback here, especially from the people that are in this list. So I proposed one by one a number of this 1 to 5 list. And then number 3, I agree with Griff that we should use the system to reward Ts and that we should dish them praise. And that part of this effort is bringing them to Discord, and that it is the minimum that people should be here to receive this praise, and that we can contact them. And I also added that I think an educational approach from this would be really great. So while praising them, we could start making like a list of what are the things that they are giving to the ecosystem, and how we can put their work out there and bring more awareness to everything they're doing. And number 4, I also don't, I couldn't see why a UBI would solve our problems. I think we are a meritocratic system, and again, if it didn't cover everything, is because maybe things were invisible, and that's why we could do this T thing, or maybe because the system scaled too much and we didn't have the capacity to cover that. Anyways, I'm taking too much time already, but I'll pass to Sam.
Can I comment on, just because just the intervention that you mentioned on the point number 2, or we're passing by one, because I can wait.
Yeah, if it's a quick comment, I think we can do it.
Yeah, just in the case of number 2, I don't do any other or common stack or general magic work. I only do TEC, and in this case, like I will say, at least on my case, when I entered the project, I knew the terms and conditions and the circumstances of how I was going to work for. So for me, this is like the current deduction is completely fine, because I knew those were the rules once I entered the project. So for me, there is no wrongdoing on this. Why? Because I accept those terms when I entered. So just saying that.
Okay, thank you. Sam, do you wanna share about your proposal?
Yes. I am in a bar, so my internet connection is not the best. I will not be sharing the screen because when I share it, it just breaks everything. My proposal is in regards of not doing an intervention, not because I think that the system has been perfect. Of not, it has not been. But I guess that somebody had to do the proposal of not intervene, and here I am. So my personal opinion is that the system have had flaws that in some way we are pointing them now in these proposals, and I think that it's very good for improving the system in the future, and in some way understand how we can improve. But what I would like to propose is not to intervene, because one is the things that we don't like of how it has gone. I also, there are things that I would like to propose, but that I don't like, or I feel that are unfair. But until now we have been working using these agreements, and everyone was agreeing on what they were doing. Changing that at the last moment from the community and from the top, even if it's a collective decision, it can be worse, in my opinion, because we will always have people who doesn't like. Also, right now there are people who might be benefiting from the unfairness of the system, and there are people who is not being benefiting. But any change will also make some kind of unfairness. So at the end, we end up in the same place. This is why I think that the more fair thing is to accept and just keep the things, not to try to integrate any proposal, just try to use the things that we have in our hands. For example, keep with the praise until the hatch is done, and just write all these interventions in order to make the price system better in the future. So this is the proposal. I think that somebody had to do it, and here it is.
Thanks, Sam.
Yeah.
Nate, do you want to present your proposal?
Yeah. Yeah. So I kind of took a little bit of different approach to my intervention proposal and my thoughts on it, just because I think trying to achieve equality or fairness within a dynamic system is, I don't know, I don't want to call it a fool's errand, but like, you know, it's the distribution is going to change over time in the long run. And so when we have this intervention proposal, I have two goals in mind, and that is to make sure that the commitments that we made as a community to individuals and individuals to the community are recognized and compensated properly, and that governance power is put into the hands of those who are going to sustain the commons far into the future. And so the idea for this was, for the compensation aspect of it, was to actually do a reduction in percentage of the impact hours that were deducted from those who are paid contributors, a flat rate of 10% for everyone. I know that we had agreements that everybody's at different percentages, but I do think giving some of that back would help with that type of distribution if that was your goal. So to entice those who are interested in redistributing. I also like Jessica's idea of applying a givable UBI. So my proposal would be to give 5 impact hours to everyone that they would be able to distribute to whoever they like, and possibly having a list of possible token engineers or individuals who we think that haven't been recognized for their work within the TEC, an opportunity to be given those impact hours by members of the community. So giving people the opportunity to say, hey, we understand the system did not recognize your work, and we're going to give that to you. And so those are the points of compensation. In terms of the governance power, I really like the infinite vesting. However, I don't like the infinite vesting for specific individuals. I would really like, if I'm looking long term, if I'm saying 10 years from now, who here is going to still be here actively working in the TEC? And if I'm answering honestly, not many. That's going to evolve. And I think that the governance powers that we grant early on in the initialization stage is highly important. And I do think having a vested amount of governance power allocated to individuals who were going to be a part of this, which is going to evolve. You're going to have a lot of token engineers that come in and out of this community. And so my idea, which is outside the scope of the impact hours, is to have 5% of the total TEC tokens that we are minted be allocated to infinite vesting, which would be strictly used for governance power by a committee of token engineers that the community decides on. And we can vote in and out to utilize that governance power for extra support to help guide the commons into the future. And that may be outside the scope of the impact hour proposal, which is why I've been hesitant to propose it in the first place. But those are just all my thoughts on it. So I'll pass it back to you, Livy.
Thank you. And Jeff, I see that you joined, and I know you have a proposal coming too. Do you want to talk a little bit about your proposal?
I'm still finalizing the last little bit. I hope to get it up in the next little bit. I'm just dealing with how to get images into GitHub, because it's so much fun. But I think I would rather allow people to read through. I don't really have a top to bottom, so I will post it and happily share on the forum. I'm happy to have any feedback and discussion on the post.
Okay, thank you. We have 4 minutes left. Anyone has any questions for the proposals that were presented or any thoughts you want to share?
One thing I want to bring up on the Twitter praise is that it's not per tweet, but it's per tweeting at all during that week. So some people may have done one tweet, some people may have done 20 tweets, and they would get in the end they get the same amount, but it's for tweeting during that week.
No, I think there was an average of, that was the number that Octopus shared, an average of 0.56 per tweet. I'll look for that document.
So he got the number of tweets. Each praise was at least for tweeting during the week.
I think he got the total praises for Twitter, the total amount, and then got the average per tweet based on the total praises per tweet.
Yeah, but what Griff wants to say is like, for example, like I do a bunch of tweets or retweets during the week. Then Ivy will prize me for that week. And then the whole tweet together, you know, like even if I retweeted 1, 2, 3, 20, it doesn't matter. You get prize once a week. So yeah, just clarifying that.
Yeah, he would have had to get external data from Ivy to get that number. I don't know. I don't know that he did.
Yeah, you're right. It's not per tweet. It's per praise that mentioned tweet. Okay, that's right. Okay, yeah, that's right.
So it'd be like 0.5 for tweeting us during that week. And it could have been 20 tweets.
Anyone else wants to share anything?
Yeah, and actually, like Combs on today's call was asking for more participation on Twitter. Like, you know, like there is a real reason, like tweets being rewarded. Maybe there is too much, but actually, like what Combs wants now is to interact with the audience. So the audience need to start to engage with the community. I mean, that's what Combs was asking just an hour ago.
I would just like to say that there's no perfect solution, and we've been doing a great job analyzing. We're doing a great job just putting proposals and voting them, and I'm completely on that. I think it's a way to move forward, but I agree with part of the arguments of Griff and Sam and Eduardo. I mean, every one of us joined and were more or less told how everything was working. Some of the people requested for money to get paid if there was a chance, and they got, others didn't. Anyone decided freely, but keeping on their head those rules. The rules are not perfect. They are far away from being perfect. And that's why we are here, and that's why we are discussing them. And that's why we have to implement them in the future. But looking backwards, I think it will cause a worse problem than the one we are discussing here, because it's not going to be perfect. Nothing is going to be perfect, either if we touch it or if we don't touch it. And every single one of us is going to have a personal feeling. Now we may have some kind of feeling that we are being fair or not, but looking backward, when we decided to join, this is what we were told, this is what we were moving forward, and no one was complaining. Of course, looking at the data deeply and doing that data analysis brings a lot more information than what we had, and that's good. And it's good to realize, because then we know what are the mistakes that we don't want to keep doing in the future, and what are the things we want to be working on the future. But beyond that, and I'm always talking financially, I agree that we want to have every single valuable people in the governments as much as possible. And I'm also I also agree on that. But financially, I just think that probably just doing nothing is the best way to move forward and just approach the next time with all the knowledge that we've gained through all this process.
Thanks, Santi. We're on the top of the hour. I know, Jess, you wanted to say something, so we can just give you a minute and then wrap it up.
I guess for me, there's a lot I can say, but for me, I guess the main thing about not ever changing the rules is kind of the part I have the hardest time with. It's less the content and how we decide on this issue, but it's the larger issue of if I wanted to be in a system where I couldn't modify or change the rules, then I would just be happy living in US, or any country that doesn't really allow for this modification of rules. And I think Ostrom's principle number 3, as we're seeing in DAOs, is probably one of the most important parts of any governance decision space or voting space that we can be making decisions on. I think just saying the rules are the rules and we can't change the rules and the process is the process is the wrong way to look at these new systems that we're trying to create, which are better than existing systems. And so far, I think for me, that's been in my research that I've been doing with Gitcoin DAO and other groups, and the group that we're creating going forward in governance research, is the ability for people to change the rules is one of the most important things. So even the forefathers in the Constitution, this is one of the things they were looking at, and this is what a lot of people look at with the Constitution, is this going to stand the test of time? And for me, the rules shouldn't be concrete. If the community doesn't decide to change, people have different opinions, fine, but if there's one thing I would like to say, it's that we should be able to modify the rules actively, and that this should be welcome, and that we should be open to change in the present moment and the evolution of information, and not get so stuck in old patterns or things that were decided months ago with less information.
Yeah, but
Can I add something too?
Okay.
Thank you, Jess.
Can I just add something too? I know we are over. I really agree that we had rules and no data, and now we have lots of data, and we can decide that we can ameliorate an imperfect system for the benefit of the people who are participating in this community, and that's a choice that we can make as a community. So I agree with that. And I also want to say, I've heard on this call that people who participating knew the rules, and those are the rules, and we went into, I know, Eduardo, you're saying that you sort of went into it understanding that you were trading impact hours for compensation. But I think we'll find that a lot of the people who are in that same position did not. They came from their being compensated by organizations that they existed in before, and they were sort of brought into the TEC to help, but they were also sort of not necessarily 100% in the TEC, but are also receiving the the common stack haircut, or the common stack giveth general magic tax, or whatever we call it, this reduction in earned impact hours, because they are working for an organization that is having them help the TEC and support the TEC build. So I think it's important to say that I think that there's some people who work only in the TEC, and that is not all of the people who are being compensated. A lot of the people who are being compensated have another job outside the TEC organization, and in many cases are doing 2 jobs and are still receiving this deduction in impact hours for their participation in the TEC.
Okay, so I got to clarify a little something on that. Basically, the people who are deducted common swarm, and which many of them chose to some weeks not take pay and then get full impact hours. And then the other organizations are General Magic and Giveth, of which I just straight up pay them. And if they wanted to take a deduction, it would have been easy to work out. So it's not like a complicated thing. Like it's not like there's someone getting paid from somewhere where it just would be difficult. Like it was always an option for everyone who had deductions.
But what
And common stack?
Yeah.
Common Stack people could have absolutely gotten paid less if they wanted to. I mean, it wasn't like a conversation that was brought up, necessarily, but
Common Stack people get $3K for full time to work on Common Stack, and there is some crossover, maybe 20% as Livia suggested, but there's like running the organization. There's so much other work, so that's like bare minimum. And then like I'm kind of an example. I was hired for TEC to work on TEC, and I didn't take pay for a couple of months, then took pay to work on TEC, and for that the deduction is fine. And then as of February or March, then I switched and I'm only working on Common Stack, which is a lot of work. So I think that's where the crossover is. And for the folks from Giveth, like they weren't necessarily working on TEC. Or, yeah, maybe 10-20% of their work, but there's so much other work. And really, for $3K a month, I mean, people are doing a lot of work, so I think it's not so much.
Just to add this to this point regarding the rules that was mentioned, for me, the fact that I knew the rules when entering this space doesn't mean I'm not, that the rules won't change. I'm talking just about retrospectively wise, is that in my case, personal space, personal circumstances, I will leave it as it is, with the things as I committed to. Doesn't mean that the community or the process will evolve and will of course adapt to the circumstances of the community decision. But I think that as it is in the past, retrospectively wise, I think things, everyone sort of, I mean, I think it will be too hard to just go back and change things. And I think we should move forward to sort of build from what we have experienced and learned. But yeah, rules should be able to evolve. I agree on that.
I think there's a lot of opinions on all of these matters, and that's why we have the proposals, the proposal space and the voting space. And I hope we can participate in there and share our opinions in there too. I appreciate everyone who came and shared today. Thank you, and please participate. We'll close the voting on Thursday.